Well, we've just witnessed Ipswich Town lose 2-0 at Barrow in the FA Cup, live on TV, a replay, and we're out. A prize of Barnsley away isn't going to come to us because, that was not a good watch. I'm joined by Ben, Harvey, and Mark to discuss that. What was that? I want to go over to Ben first. Your thoughts, my friends. This is a counselling session for us after witnessing 90 minutes of us getting bossed by a League Two side. They were saying on the commentary, this is an upset, but it wasn't. Barrow, just a better side, Ben. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think it was an upset for any of the Town fans. I think probably in our heart of hearts, we knew this was probably coming. Changes to the team. I'm not sure even with a full strength team. I don't know what, we don't have eyes and ears around the change room at the minute, but something's not right. It hasn't been for a long while. There's this malaise over the club. I've mentioned it before. It just seems like it just won't ever, this black cloud won't ever be lifted. The new owners came in, ray of sunshine through that black cloud, thought it was all going to pick up, and it's just feel like we're back to square one again. I feel utterly despondent this evening. And I'm usually quite a happy chap and try and look for positives. There's nothing I can offer Town fans ahead of Saturday to say, at least we might be able to do this, or where there's a chink of light there. I'm almost upset, really, to just see the players on that pitch, substitutions as well, play with just so little application. They don't look like they care. It looks like we've become one of those clubs that in League One were paying decent wages, a bit like the mess Sunderland have got themselves in. Yes, they're having a good year this year. But, from the outside looking in, if you were a non-Ipswich Town fan, that you think, crikey, Ipswich are a mess. And it's just so heartbreaking to see that my club are a mess. For years growing up, it was like Ipswich are a well-run club, academy, da-da-da-da-da. But this evening, it was just, there is nothing I can say positive. I know that Mark and Harvey feel the same. I'm sure every Town fan out there. My heart goes out to the 300-400 odd who made the trip. That is absolutely bonkers from them. They deserve tickets repaid, expenses repaid, everything. Whether they'll get that, I don't know. Obviously, I'll pass on to Harvey and Mark here because I could rattle on for ages. But I feel like a bit of a broken record. We've been here before. Some people say it's a new low. It's just continuation of a low. I don't know if it's a new low. We were in the Championship when we lost to Lincoln, so technically that's worse. But I just feel dreadful. Thanks, Ross. I really appreciate the invite and coming on, if I'm honest.
Yes, Ben. Thanks as ever. And over to Harvey. You were there on Saturday at Wigan, an improvement from Tuesday night at Charlton. But I just didn't think it could get any worse, but it did. Harvey, thoughts?
I'm almost sick of ranting, to be honest with you. We think every time that something like this happens, it's a new low. Yeah, it's the lowest it can go, and then they prove us wrong every single time. Every one of those players tonight were an absolute disgrace. They didn't, for me, look like any of them could be bothered in the slightest, to be honest with you. Barrow fully deserved to win it from literally 20 seconds in. They had more urgency. They were pressing. They didn't let us have any of the ball. Yes, it's a tight pitch. Yes, the pitch wasn't great, but that's no excuse. We've got a team. We've put a team out that should be comfortably beating a team that are 17th, 18th in League Two. Just unbelievably poor. Caden Jackson spent half the night doing that. I think that had the highlights from his game. It's hard for me to single out one player because they were all so bad. But where do you go from here? Honestly, where do you go? The new manager, I'm sure, sounds like that's nearly done. I don't know how far it is, but I'm sure whoever the new manager is, they would have been watching tonight. And where do you go with that group? Because if you're just outplayed, the other team were better on the night, then you can half understand that they're in League Two. But it's the fact that they just didn't look bothered. They've got hundreds of Ipswich fans there tonight that are not going to get home till 4 or 5 in the morning. They've dedicated this day to Ipswich Town, despite the form we've been in recently, and they've been completely humiliated by a group of individuals who, quite frankly, aren't bothered. We've signed 19 new players in the summer. Granted, it wasn't the first 11 out tonight, But as I said, it's a team that should be winning. You know, it got arguably a little bit better in the second half, but it couldn't have got any worse. It really, really couldn't. And it's difficult to see where we go from here. It really is. You know, we could, as Ben said, we can go on all night about how bad it was. Personally, I'd like to forget about it as quickly as possible. We've got nearly 29,000 Ipswich fans in that stadium on Saturday, and quite frankly, none of those players deserve the support. They really, really don't. But knowing Ipswich fans and knowing how they are, they'll get behind him. But we've got to start seeing something back. We really, really have. We pay our hard-earned money every single week to watch this utter rubbish, quite frankly. And it's about time that the players and the management team, whoever that may be, seriously put a rocket up their backsides, because, as I said on the game day against Wigan, as Ipswich fans, we don't expect to win every week. We've never expected that. But what we do expect is a team that care and that are bothered. We've embarrassed ourselves on national television again tonight. I think that arguably was miles worse than Lincoln. I really, really do. It was boring. It was lethargic. I found myself just scrolling on my phone, you know, and by the time I looked up, I'd missed 10 minutes. It reflects if the players aren't bothered. It just makes you lose interest. They're not committed to the cause by the looks of it, and it's so demoralising, because we deserve so much better. And of course, I'll be supporting whoever's in charge, and I'll never ever bail on this team because I love it so much, like we all do. But we've got to start seeing some improvements, because that was utterly abysmal tonight, to say it lightly. And I know I'm rambling on, so I'm going to pass on to Mark now. But yeah, in a nutshell, shocking, abysmal. I didn't think it could get any worse. There's not enough adjectives to describe how poor it was.
Definitely. And Mark, I'll bring you in. I want to quickly quote good old Terry Butcher at half-time. That is totally unacceptable from Ipswich Town, which is a true statement, because that was unacceptable. You got all your swearing out before we came on live, so you're still fuming, I know.
It's probably just as well. Probably just as well. What did I hear on ITV? Dreadful, pathetic, impotent, and you low, all words to describe Ipswich, and all absolutely spot on. That was absolutely abject. Somebody on the Kings of Anglia social group has said that they should walk back to Suffolk. And I quite agree. They should walk back to Suffolk, because they don't deserve a ride home in a bus or whatever, because that was absolutely pathetic. And as for those poor Ipswich Town fans who've given up a day's work, potentially 2 days' work to go down there, spent their hard-earned cash to watch that, that is utter crap, and they should all be refunded, because it's pathetic. And as Harvey said, I can take us being outplayed, but I can't take the lack of effort. You know, that's just abysmal, absolutely abysmal. I mean, what was it? One header, one shot on target against a League Two side in 90 minutes. Lack of application, lack of effort. I mean, even in the last 20 minutes when things are desperate and you really need a goal, just nobody in the box, you know, fighting for a ball going in from Kane Vincent-Young, nobody struggling to get on the end of it and throwing themselves forward, you know, to get ahead of it or something. Absolutely, it was as if they really could not be bothered, you know. And I personally feel we deserve a heck of a lot better. I do not know what is wrong with this club, but if those senior players, and they are senior players, I mean, Mazzuni is just outside the first team, Morsey, Piggott, Chaplin, Kane Vincent-Young, Wolfenden, you know, they're all Burgess, they're all first team players. If they can't put in a better shift than that, then ship them out and get the under-23s in, or somebody will play with a bit of pride, you know. I don't care. I could handle us being beaten 4 or 5 every week, but I'd just like to see the boys sweating and going the extra yard and putting some effort in and chasing around and hassling and harrying and looking like they really care. Those 11 players out there tonight looked like they just could not be bothered. They were quite happy to sit there and take the check. It's pathetic, absolutely pathetic. I mean, if I was sat in the stands and I'm Frank Lampard, John Terry, whoever the new manager might be, I would be quaking in my boots at the prospect of taking over from that lot, because my God, that squad needs some major surgery, because if we keep putting in performances like that, you know, forget challenging for promotion, you know, fighting relegation is going to be a bigger concern, because that is absolutely awful. As you said, they hadn't scored in open play for 6 games before tonight, and then they managed it twice against Ipswich Town, the so-called mighty Ipswich Town who won the FA Cup in 1978. Rubbish, absolutely rubbish. I've managed to get through that without swearing, but my God, I'm struggling to hold it in, because that was abject. It was dire. I sat there with my 10-year-old son watching that, and he said, "Dad, this is pathetic. We're rubbish." And he was absolutely right. And we both had our Ipswich Town shirts on. we've taken our Ipswich Town shirts off, okay? Because I think that, I don't feel that I want to wear my Ipswich Town shirt tonight, and I don't think those 11 blokes out there deserve the right to wear that shirt, not on tonight's performance. I mean, that is absolutely abysmal. Didn't swear.
Well done.
Just quickly as well, Ross. Sorry, I just want to make the point. One of Mark's points there is one of the things that concerned me the most was that the one kind of real concern from that match is you mentioned the Kane Vincent Young cross, and he's right though. That was probably the best moment of the game, which probably sums up how bad it was. The Kane Vincent Young cross, a decent cross, and there was no one even in the box. I don't think it was utterly bizarre. You're 2-0 down.
We had Piggott on, Chaplin on.
Yeah.
Jackson, I think, was
Jackson was on at that point as well. And there was just
forwards on.
Yeah, there was no one in the box. The furthest player forward was our left back. And it's utterly bizarre. And you cannot say to me tonight that even one of those players could be bothered. They've got a fancy plane down or whatever they've gone. They've flown down. They've got everything handed out to them. Make them walk back. I agree. Make them walk back, because that was just shocking. Absolutely shocking.
Yeah. And I'm going to be well irked if we get somebody like Morsey coming in tomorrow and saying that wasn't good enough, that was unacceptable. We know that's unacceptable. We don't need to hear that. What we want is a performance on Saturday, that's significantly, 100% better than that. We don't need to hear these platitudes. We've heard these platitudes for what seems like seasons now. I've had enough of it. Sort it out. If you don't want to play for our club, go elsewhere.
We hear it enough. We hear it enough. You look at Morsey post. I can't remember what was the game again where where he came out and said, as captain of this club, we'll take responsibility. We know it needs to be better. And yes, he only came on second half, but I just, you watch those interviews, and I remember watching it thinking he speaks very well. Actually, Morsey, he comes across as someone who's really switched on, and it gives you a bit of encouragement. And then when you see a performance like that, it just knocks you straight down again into the reality of the fact that we're an average mid-table League One club. And
at best,
exactly, and we're struggling at that. And if we play anything like,
they came out and said, you know what, we don't actually know what we're doing. John and
Kieran
have got lots of passion, but they haven't been able to turn it around for us on the training ground. Yeah, we go through the tactics, but we're not intelligent enough, or we haven't got enough. You'd always rather hear that than
100%,
platitudes. Like just something a bit more of the honesty. I know they're all media trained. We're never going to get that, but I do feel like McGrew and Kieran have just had a complete hospital pass. Like bless them, they don't know how to turn it around. I was at Charlton, and that again the same performance tonight. I wasn't at Wigan. I didn't really see it. My dad went and said that it was a lot better, but how can you be that? 2 games out of 3, it's been absolutely atrocious, hasn't it?
I think we have to start accepting the fact that actually these players aren't a massive upgrade on what we had last season. I really am significantly unimpressed by some of these players. I just don't see that. Well, statistically, are we better than we were a year ago under Lambert? No, we're not, are we?
No.
We're no further on down the road. Are the players showing more commitment, effort, resilience? No, not really. Do you look like we're going to score more goals? Yes, in patches we have looked more creative, but that seems to have dried up. And as somebody said, I think it was Bloomers was saying, actually our conversion rate was exceptionally high, but our chances created was very low. So we went through a purple patch of putting away the few chances that we got, and now we stopped creating those chances, and we don't look like scoring. We don't look like we could buy a goal tonight, to be brutally honest.
And the commentators, the commentators saying as well, it's clearly well known how loyal as Ipswich fans are. The commentators are saying, Ipswich Town, they average 20,000 a week in League One. They've got loyal fans. Everyone knows this. Everyone knows how we will stick through our team. Stick with the team, up or down as the song goes. But we got to see some fight, some determination. Stick your foot in, just like we saw on Saturday. Exactly like we saw on Saturday. It wasn't the best result, but I was looking at Kyle Edwards, who could barely walk off at the end. Those other players, you could see they really wanted to stick a foot in on Saturday, and I was really pleased with that. It was great to see. And then how you can go from that to completely the other end of the scale tonight, it's just it's the mind boggles. It really, really does. It's we could be here all night. It's shocking, and quite frankly, I'd like to be here all night just to keep saying how terrible we are.
I think if it gets any worse, the club are going to have to start, individual counselling and therapy for supporters, because this is ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, this is our counselling session tonight, as Ross said.
Yeah, it is pretty much. And, as you said, there'll be 29,000 likely to be at Portman Road on Saturday against Sunderland. Ben, Harvey, Mark, any other notes before we wrap up? Going into that game, that new owners are going to be there. Possibly a new manager could be there. But where can we go from here? I've said that in previous podcasts after bad results, and I just don't know where we go from here. It just baffles me.
It could. It's going to go one or two ways. It could reignite or try and light a spark under our season. You could get 29,000 fans. We start the game well, and everyone gets behind the team. But obviously the more likely scenario is that 10, 15 minutes go by, we don't start well. The crowd get their backs up, which you couldn't blame a single soul in doing so. I'm going with almost everybody I know on Saturday. I managed to get just tell all these people after the Wigan game that I went to, we're playing amazing football, etc. My father-in-law's over from Ireland. I'm taking him. I told him we're on TV tonight. Oh, have a watch of this tonight ahead of Saturday. It's just utterly embarrassing. Part of me is dreading it, and obviously, because we always have hope. That's the worst thing as football fans. We have that tiny hope that, Saturday's another game. Sunderland, massive game, massive crowd. Imagine if we win. Exactly. Imagine if we win. It would be absolutely fantastic. Right now, obviously, I can't see it. It could be an absolute massacre and a really, really embarrassing day for the football club and these new owners.
Yeah. Harvey, Mark, any other notes before we wrap up for the night? And oh dearie me.
It's just got to be better, hasn't it? It's got to be better. As Ben says, it's going to go one or two ways on Saturday. You hope that it, the performance tonight more sees laying into absolutely every one of them. Although we thought that against Charlton, and look how it's ended up tonight. But we've of course we've got hope, and of course I'll be excited for the game on Saturday. Why, I don't know. After watching tonight, but you just got to hope and pray that it gets better, because I still believe long term we're in good hands with these owners. I do. We've got to go through pain in the short term. I say short term, it's been the long term, hasn't it, really? And just got to hope and pray that it gets better, because it certainly can't get much worse, I think.
You think?
Yeah, well, yeah. Think being the key word there. It's
going to be tough on Saturday, because there's going to be an even more edgy 28,000 there after seeing this tonight, and I hope that doesn't transfer over to the players on the pitch. They need to do their very best to get the crowd behind them again, because there's going to be some antipathy there, and quite rightly after the result. If the new manager is in the stands and watching, and there's a reasonable chance that the new man could be there on the weekend. Well, in some ways, he's going to be quite fortunate, because after watching that performance tonight, and anything is going to be an improvement, really, isn't it? So he's starting from a fairly low baseline to work from, but something needs to change, because that was abysmal tonight. It was embarrassing, absolutely embarrassing. I can't believe that we haven't got under 23s in the club, younger players who are hungry, have more talent, and could have done better tonight. That was abysmal. And I hope to God it gets better, because I can't take much more of this. My nerves won't take it. They just won't take it.
Just quickly as well, I know I singled out Caden Jackson, but none of them deserved any credit for tonight's performance. Jackson just frustrated me, because he just tends to do this all night. But none of them deserved anything. Burgess again on Saturday looked good. I was impressed with Burgess. I thought he dealt very well, but then he gets done on the turn 5 minutes in and looks unbelievably vulnerable. So it's kind of one step forward, 2 steps back from him. But none of them deserved any credit for tonight. It was from minute 1 to minute 96. It was shocking.
I think if Hutch was doing his player ratings tonight, I think he may well have hit a new low.
I agree.
I think we could have seen several sub-3s. I can't see anybody really who would deserve more than 2 on that performance. Perhaps Kane Vincent Young 2.5, if I'm being generous, but that's about it.
Marcus, yeah.
I'll give Darren and Matt 9.
Yeah, I agree with that.
From our group.
Absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, just all the fans who went, big credit to you.
Unbelievable.
That's unbelievable support.
Deserves so much better.
There we go.
Yeah.
Found a
Yeah.
positive. Unbelievable support. 9 out of 10, all of you.
There we go. There we go. Well, gents, thanks so much for joining me. Let us know in the comments your thoughts on that game. Of course, more Town fans probably would have watched tonight because it was on ITV. So there'd be a few going, I haven't watched a game for a while because I went to Charlton. It wasn't great. Didn't bother Wigan. And they watched it and they went, wow, that is what it is. And there'll be a few just general neutral football fans would have watched it as well and go, oh, let's see how Ipswich Town's going to do. And they watched that. But there we go. Make sure to look out for all the content on our websites and other videos looking ahead to Sunderland. It's going to be a long couple of weeks. But enjoy Christmas because Christmas is nearly here. So there we go. See you later, everybody. Thanks for joining me.